All right, y'all, welcome back to Combat Arms channel. All right, so today we're checking out something that I didn't think I'd ever see on YouTube, but I gotta say I'm totally psyched for it. So this is a YouTube channel, Coffee or Die Magazine. Now it looks like they sort of had some unprecedented kind of behind the scenes access to Robin Sage, which is basically like the sort of final phase of Special Forces or Green Beret training. Now I'm pretty excited to check this out. Again, I didn't expect to see like such a comprehensive video about this. I mean, you hear a lot of stories about people who are in Robin Sage whenever they're going through like the whole Green Beret pipeline, but to actually see the footage is going to be pretty freaking cool. And it's about 17 minutes long. So yeah, that's a lot more footage than I expected to see ever. So I'm excited to check it out. There might be some other videos out there that I just haven't seen yet. And if there are, definitely recommend them if you guys know where to find them. But this one should be cool. So let's check it out. It looks like Green Beret training. I don't know what this phase consists of. I know it's probably like a culmination of a lot of things, but that was a lot right there. Oh my gosh, that sound is so ingrained in my mind. Doing a movement at night through night vision and just hearing all the critters and stuff like that. North Carolina, it's like the frogs. I gotta check out more of these. Looks like I said it was season 2 or series 2. I'm excited to check this out. The channel itself. Okay, Black Rifle Coffee makes sense. They get some good access to stuff for sure.
I'm Matt White with Coffee or Die. We're out here in North Carolina, just outside of Fort Bragg, for the last exercise of Special Forces training, Robin Sage.
Jeez.
Robin Sage is the culminating exercise for the Special Forces qualification course, which tests Special Forces students' MOS status.
Robin Sage is a month-long exercise where the final candidates of Special Forces training come together in teams of 14 and infiltrate fictional country known as Pineland.
So 14 people doing an infiltration. Again, that's definitely some Green Beret type of stuff. I seriously wonder what they're going to get up to. I've heard a lot of stuff from like Green Beret Special Forces training as far as them just being like left to their own devices and kind of working off the economy. I know this is probably going to be a little bit more controlled judging by like the weapons and stuff that they're carrying, but you can see some of those movements looked pretty gnarly.
The UPA, which is the United Province of Atlantica, have invaded the northern Pineland province, so our students are developing a plan to infiltrate to link up with resistance forces to help fight the UPA and drive them out.
Does that sound familiar? That's what Green Berets did in Afghanistan, Iraq, Horn of Africa, the Philippines, Eastern Europe, working with indigenous forces, building them up, and so they're ready to face off against occupying
nations making me nervous
when the time comes.
What's going
Week
on?
1, they do their academics week, which they're getting all their classes about unconventional warfare. Week 2, we take them out in the woods and they get to develop SOPs. And week 3 is mission planning week, which students plan for their mission to infiltrate into northern Pineland.
Word. So they got a saw, some M4s.
We train them in their skills. We train them in survival, evasion, resistance, and escape. We train them on small unit tactics. And then we bring them into this ambiguous environment of Robin Sage. And they have to bring it all together and demonstrate they can work as a team and navigate the challenges that are here, because they're going to see something very similar when they get into combat or deployed.
So I'm wondering, I'm not sure if all of these guys are actually still in the training itself. I mean, I know the Op 4 are probably like prior Green Berets or, you know, prior military dudes just kind of assisting. But yeah, I'm kind of wondering because these guys look very, very different from one another. "19 days? I feel like it was longer when I was in the infantry." Okay.
First 2 days is infill. They've got at least a 10-mile infill, often longer.
The typical student carries 120 pounds of equipment on infill, and that's not including their fighting load carrier and their weapon systems, batteries, extra radios, medical equipment, ammunition, food, water, money.
They're gonna climb on this helicopter.
Another 50 pounds.
South, hit the ground and go about 10 miles overland, and then they're off and into the exercise.
Oh yeah. Oh God, that scintillation, all the little specks. that probably means it's super dark. Not a whole lot of illumination, natural illumination. Yeah, this looks like North Carolina right here, just like the swamps, and I can just smell this picture right here. That rock looks so heavy.
They make initial contact with the guerrilla force. They have to gain trust or rapport. They're brought into the G base, and then they start to train the guerrillas. Weapons handling, they'll train them in communications procedures, they'll train them in medical.
Okay, that makes sense.
Just the basics. So they start conducting combat operations, developing in certain support networks.
There you go. Like, things don't happen immediately. It's an immersive environment, and nothing's easy.
So they pick up intel.
Yeah, I was wondering, because I'm like, there's not a whole lot of dispersion that I'm seeing in like that whole like group of people. So if they're supposed to be guerrillas, that makes a little bit more sense. But again, I'm sure some of those guys are kind of mixed in. That's pretty freaking cool. They get to just go out there and start training dudes up. Like, we don't have a fighting force, like that big of a fighting force, so let's go ahead and start recruiting some dudes for the effort
that we've given to them on the battlefield, and then they'll start to plan this typically 72 hours prior.
You guys sit down here. If you got any questions, he'll tell you what you need to know.
Yep.
And that's a crucial target for us out there too.
So the first one is what's like the most common supplies that you see running through there?
And it's another gate right here.
Yeah, and those road engines are usually right in here.
Right in here.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, appreciate it.
Good luck.
Nice meeting you.
Yep. Good meeting you. Yep. Y'all stay safe.
Be careful.
We're in Montgomery County, North Carolina, one of 21 counties across North Carolina that robin sage sprawls. This is tobacco country. We're headed towards a location which the rest of the year is a chicken hatchery, but during robin sage it turns into a supply point for UPA forces. One of the key things that robin sage teaches.
I mean, I don't know how profitable a chicken hatchery is, but yeah, if you can get some Green Berets to do some stuff while you're like not too busy, yeah, you know, it's a good way to get some extra dime.
Soldiers is how to resupply your team and supply the guerrilla forces. Really, there's only 3 ways to do that. 1 is to pack it in. 2, buy it. And if you can't buy it, you gotta steal it.
Yeah. Yep.
Team 9114, they've got some intel that about an hour from now is going to be a supply drop-off. Right now, a recon element out in the wood line is observing this location.
That's so cool. It looked like it was close to the road, but I don't know if it was. Jesus. Imagine a civilian driving by and seeing this. That'd be so funny.
Throughout the 2 weeks that they're in the field, they're putting into play all the skills they've learned over their training as Green Berets.
At the end of the day, everyone needs to be able to shoot, move, communicate, and survive. I mean, we do that with the best of them, but we also do it with our partners.
Nice little resupply there.
With the Green Berets, is that we're putting them in these austere environments and expecting them to do a lot and be self-sufficient. We train that here in the qualification course.
Yeah, it's like right by the, look, it was right by the highway, huh?
One more thing about robin sage. It runs 4 times a year. The fall, the winter, the spring, and the summer.
The winter.
Between the gnats and the heat, summertime is its own enemy.
I don't know, I'd probably take that over winter.
Country, 15,000 square miles, stretching from Charlotte, North Carolina, all the way to the coast. But who are the Pinelanders? Pinelanders are all volunteers. They live in the G bases with the teams, and eventually they become the soldiers that they make these hits with. So we're at a railroad museum. On the premises is a high-value target. Their job is to capture or kill him and take out the security team around him. They're gonna move down the road, secure the buildings as they go, searching for the target.
Oh my gosh, oh yeah, now they're getting the birds. The dude with the saw. It's cool to be that guy sometimes, but for this I'm not too sure. I like how they all have their like go bags and stuff.
Students who've come through the course later on, they're on their first deployment with the team, and they come back and they say, wow, like what we learned in Robin Sage, that's a real thing. Hey, we're Green Berets, we can come here and tell you what to do. You walk in the door with that attitude and they're gonna go tell you to pound sand. So you have to build relationships every day. That's where those Robin Sage moments come in, where it's not easy and you don't dictate the terms. We're working within their world. We're helping them make it happen.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it is. Again, it's a very weird and tough mission for special forces. Again, kind of like I know the SVAB was kind of made to help, assist and, instruct and advise all of these partner forces. But again, you got to think for special operations, a lot of what they're doing is low key, not as much for SVAB, because SVAB, most of their stuff is relatively transparent. For these guys, again, like they're kind of just going behind enemy lines, so to speak, or kind of inserting with not a whole lot of presence going on. And with that, not a whole lot of support. So you have to think they're trying to build up these, fighting forces or, whatever resistance forces, kind of either from the ground up or kind of working with whatever they have, which is not going to be something that's, that well fleshed out. And for them to kind of keep it low key and do it quickly and usually have some pretty good effects, or at least the end state is, a pretty high end goal. It's pretty tough. So you definitely need people who are competent to at least handle themselves so they can go out there and kind of teach other people this stuff. Nah, I thought you targets just using the other guys like a meat shield.
My first Robin Sage moment was in Iraq in 2007 when I got to first work with a partner force, and it really hit home, like just all the lessons I learned in Robin Sage and how to work by, with, and through and enable a partner force to be successful.
He's moving, jeez. It's like he's actually in a firefight. You move the fastest you ever move in your life.
I think the difference in special forces is that you may be 12 individuals on an ODA, but we could take 2 of you and split you off and send you to go work with a partner force, with a company level asset. That's based on the training, based on our selection, that we can trust those individuals and put them in those situations.
I wonder who they get for these guys, like the volunteers. Some of them look pretty high speed. I wonder if it's active duty guys.
Role players
the
that we have, they create this environment where the guerrillas want you, but they're also very proud and relatively self-sufficient. They kind of want your things, but you demonstrate your value and the skills that you've learned through the qualification course, that you provide much more than just bullets and weapons, things like that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
We're connected with about 300 to 400 families across Robin Sage and over 1,000 role players, most of those volunteers. And all this is conducted on private property that's graciously lent to us through civilian landowners.
Bottom line, we can't do it without the goodwill and the patriotism of the people in North Carolina and the Pinelanders.
The Pinelanders. I'd let them do it too if I got to partake every now and again.
The rail yard is donated to us by Patty, a local landowner.
That one checks the ground.
Is that it?
I'm hoping I'm helping the country.
Yep.
By doing this, so that they can get through their training and go do what they need.
Every few
That's a
days,
good American
they move
right
up a
there.
level. They move out of the local level, they go up to the sector level. We get into the last week of Robin Sage, and that's when they're meeting the area commander. That's the general who's in charge of a notional force of 1,000 or more people.
I was
got his
raised
own
here,
hat.
just outside of Candor in Montgomery County. Born October 8, 1956. The only day a perfect game in the World Series was pitched. The U.S. Army always used our property, so they were always in my backyard as a kid, and they would have civilians walk them. It's sort of like a guide for the area. So I think when I was around 12, I walked off my property with the first A-team as a guide. And then at night, of course, I was a resistance fighter. But I don't know of anything that the government has done that's lasted as long as Robin Sage has lasted it. So obviously it's a sign of something that works.
Some of them
so cool.
do it in a role-playing role. Some that do it just because they have land. As people who just want to give back and are willing to lend their land and lend their time and their talent in order to make this an immersive experience because they know how important it is.
Damn, okay. I thought it was like all like prior military, all prior like Green Beret or Special Forces people that are kind of like, you know, hooking up their community, buying land so they can kind of facilitate this stuff. But no, it's literally just people. It sounds like this is like, well, he said he was a kid when he was kind of helping to facilitate this initially. I think there's like whole generations of people just like helping to facilitate this. Is kind of cool.
I'm Op 4 Commander is my title out here. Anytime they do any missions, they've got to deal with the enemy, so I'm the enemy, Op 4. I have to be on this bridge, they kill me and blow it, and then I get set up for this other crew, you know, and they get to kill me. When they're
Sounds
real
like fun.
busy, I'm real busy.
We've had cadre members here who were volunteers when they were children, who joined the Green Berets. This is very recently, and we're
No
instructors
kidding.
here in Robin Sage.
I joined the Army in 1998. I was stationed at Fort Drum, New York as an infantryman. After 2003 and seeing 5th Special Forces Group in action in Iraq, that's when I decided I wanted to be in Special Forces as well. We returned from Iraq and I immediately went to selection and then started the Q course. I graduated the Q course in 2006 and then immediately PCS to 1st Group where I stayed until 2019. And then after 2019, I came back to SWCC as a Robin Sage instructor. I've been here ever since.
Damn,
They're
okay.
tracking,
Gee,
HVT,
that's a long
that's
time.
a high-value target, one of the leaders of the UPA. The intelligence they've gathered piece by piece in real time is that he has a camp just back in these woods. That's where he's waiting for a flight out of the country. On the other side of this tree line is an airfield. There's going to be a red aircraft that lands at the airfield. Then the HVT is going to come out of here in a white van. That's the intel they have. Go to the airfield and attempt to get in the aircraft and take off and fly out of the country. That's when the team is going to make its hit.
I wonder if the intel is accurate. Twizzlers. That's a great snack in the field. You can tell they're so used to just being like super dirty and that freaking getting destroyed by bugs and stuff. Oh, here we go. That dude's about to have a bad day. Good role player right there. Belligerent.
Out of the 240 students that start Robin Sage, typically about 200 will graduate.
Hurry up, guys, hurry up. Let's go.
Damn.
Later.
And if we do selection right, the majority of the people we select should be trainable to graduate the qualification course. And that's largely true. I think that even though we do have a roughly 80% pass rate, that's first time goes through Robin Sage, many of those recycle, come back through, and they're just fine.
Okay, that's good. They're not just dropped completely. That would suck. After all that, go back to your unit or something. I'd be just afraid not to get injured or something. Screw recycling.
That's Team 9114. They just got back from the last meeting of Robin Sage. So, after a month of planning and 2 weeks out in the field, Team 9114 is done with Robin Sage.
The war
Damn, a month
will
of
end
planning?
and hostilities will cease, and they'll start what we call transition phase. They'll go to a transition meeting with a lot of local governance that's been hiding out or been in exile, and they'll start to rebuild the country. They'll go back to Camp McCall, they'll out-process, and then they go back to Fort Bragg, and in 2 weeks they'll go through their regimental first formation and the donning of the Green Beret.
Hell yeah.
It is a critical component. No one's been able to replicate it, certainly not in the scale that we do out here in North Carolina and really around the Fort Bragg community. But it extends beyond the military. I mean, it is all intertwined. The relationships that are built both from our Green Berets and also from our civilians that work out here to maintain that and expand Pineland essentially in the training areas here it's a full-time job. But they're working with the great people of North Carolina. They love doing it.
Damn, okay. Good on them. That was sick. Again, I didn't really know a whole lot about Robin Sage, but again, seeing that as opposed to like trying to picture everything is always like a lot better. Like that was pretty freaking cool. You know, it's not often that you get to see videos for these like crazy training pipelines that you always hear about in the Army. So it's kind of cool to be able to get some exposure to it. Again, like I can appreciate some of the stories a little bit better now, but I'm sure there's a whole lot that we're not seeing. And there's a whole lot of stories that people will have, and probably a whole lot of like jokes and stuff that kind of get derived from this. But yeah, like working with role players is always like super freaking awesome. It's like really, really invaluable stuff, especially when they really take it seriously. Like with medical stuff, when it comes to like people who speak a different language and kind of have to work with like an interpreter, that's always really challenging. People who like really develop this whole persona as far as working in this tribe or this village, yeah, it really helps a lot as far as the realism. So good on them, especially for being like volunteers and stuff. That's pretty freaking awesome. Let me know what you guys think about this. If there's anything that is like reminiscent of this that you guys know from your own militaries, and especially if there's any videos, definitely let me know, because I'd like to sort of check it out, kind of compare them, at least just with the videos, because you know I haven't gone through it myself, so I can't speak that firsthand knowledge. But again, you can kind of understand like why they're training certain things and understand how their mission is and how they're trying to train up for that. Because like they're saying, this is, you know, kind of realistic as far as what they're going to be tasked to do when they're actually forward deployed. So very, very cool. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, of course, hit the thumbs up, comment, let me know what you think. Of course, if you have anything to recommend, throw it down below. But thank you guys for watching. That is it for this video. I'll see you on the next one.